There's a principle in computer science called garbage in, garbage out. Essentially what this means is that the inputs that you feed a system, you're going to get those kind of outputs. The content that you watch, the food that you eat, the people who you hang around with, even if you don't think it's having an effect on you, trust me, it is. And I know this because I've tested it out on myself. Your brain, your body is a system, and if you are feeding it garbage, the outputs that you are going to get is garbage. I first noticed this when I was, kind of just watching some content on social media, just some fun YouTube videos, just trying to entertain myself. And I noticed the type of video that I was watching, whether it was on, YouTube or some other social media, maybe I was watching some anime or just playing video games, the type of thing that I was consuming, it directly correlated to the amount of productivity I had within that day or week. So for example, if I was just watching some BS entertainment stuff, for the rest of the day, pretty much, I wouldn't do anything very productive because I just didn't have that energy. I just didn't want to do anything. Versus if I was listening to something like a podcast or reading a book, or, I just had some, self-improvement type of content going on in the background, just that changed the output and like how much productivity I had within the day. You can probably relate to this on some level. Like, you may have had those times where you were like really locked in, you were listening to some kind of podcast or, reading or listening to some audiobook or whatever the case may be. The productivity that you had within that period probably skyrocketed compared to the times where all you did was, okay, just play some video games or, watch some anime or whatever. I'm not saying any of those things are like bad or good, but what I am saying is that the type of inputs that you have directly correlate with the type of outputs that you have. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I'm perfect with this because there are still times where like I'll have garbage inputs or like not the best inputs. But the point is that you want to upgrade your baseline, like the passive consumption that you have. By default, if you can just ingest or have better inputs, whether it's productivity podcast or, things that'll just push you further along, that is going to affect your life. That's going to show up in your life in some way. So you really do have to be careful about the type of things that you're consuming. For example, you can imagine like there's two guys who are really out of shape. The first guy, the only type of content that he's watching is like these, cooking shows or like these things where, these people are making these really tasty looking desserts, all these fried foods and whatever the case may be. He may really want to get in shape, but it's going to be harder for him to do that because the type of content that he's consuming, it's just showing his brain all these like really tasty looking foods. So naturally what's going to happen throughout his life, he's going to like find these opportunities to like eat all these unhealthy snacks because that's just what his mind has been fed on. Versus there's another guy who's out of shape who like really wants to be in shape and whatnot. If all he's consuming is like all of this fitness content, like he sees these guys who's gone through these fitness transformations, guys who are, telling him advice, or yeah, do this workout or take this supplement or whatever. Just by having that type of content, just by consuming that type of stuff, you can imagine this guy is probably way more likely to start going to the gym, start eating healthier, start doing things that'll get him closer to what his goal is. It's such a simple thing, but again, a lot of people just haven't become aware or don't appreciate the amount of influences or the amount of influence that the stuff they're consuming is having on their lives. Practically something you can do, and it's like a strategy that I've implemented, is that if you're on YouTube or any other type of social media, if you're getting recommended like this BS stuff that you would probably want to watch, just click on some random brain rot video, but it's not going to improve the quality of your life or get you closer to the reality that you want. Literally what you can do is like there's these three dots, and what you can like press is not interested or don't recommend this channel. Literally by doing that, you're training whatever algorithm, whatever social media algorithm that you don't want to see this type of content because it's not going to get you closer to, whatever it is. And vice versa, the type of content that you do want to see, whether it's self-improvement related, fitness, business, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to get closer to, you can, just subscribe to whatever those channels are, or like their videos, make some comments or whatever, and you're telling the algorithm, hey, I want to see more of this type of content. And by doing that, you're feeding yourself better inputs that will get you the outputs that you want. It's a very simple thing, but I promise you, if you're not doing it, you're missing out. And even though I'm using content like as a big thing, because I mean, I'm sure it's something most people can relate to. It's not just that, it's also, the people who you're hanging around. If you're hanging around the wrong crowd, we all know this, you are the average of the people who you hang around the most. You've got to make sure that you're hanging around people who will build you up and get you closer to the person who you want to be, and not be around people who are dragging you down. Yes, it may be hard to do that, but whenever you have the opportunity, try your best to surround yourself with, the people who get you closer to, where you want to be. It's the same thing with the food that you're eating. If you're eating trash like fried foods and, all these desserts or whatever, your energy levels are going to tank and you're just going to feel worse. You're not going to have as much productivity and like energy throughout the day. And because of that, it's going to be like a feedback loop that, makes you feel even worse. So then you go back to eating more of those like really bad foods for you. You've really got to pay attention to the inputs that you're giving to your system, whether it's your body, your brain, mind, whatever. Make sure the inputs are the inputs that you want. Don't feed yourself garbage in any manner. Make sure that you're giving yourself quality things that will, again, have outputs that are ideal for you, that'll get you closer to where you want to be. What you can practically do just to get some more awareness about this is that whatever social media you're on, or whatever the case may be, whatever inputs, if you have some way to measure it, like you can look at your history or whatever, you can see the type of content that you've been watching. And if the type of content that you've been watching isn't getting you any closer to where you want to be, now you've become more aware of like what your baseline is. Start to improve it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like this person who only watches like productivity like types of stuff, because it's probably unsustainable. But if in general you can increase the amount of quality inputs and decrease the amount of garbage inputs, again, things are going to get a lot better. It's the same thing with like this guy who's overweight and like out of shape or whatever. You don't have to go from eating everything healthy because right now you're just used to eating complete garbage. You just slowly start eating less garbage and slowly start eating more like quality things. And once you start doing this, once you start seeing how much better your life feels, how much more energy you have, how much better, your productivity is, and whatever the case may be, how much closer you're getting to the reality you want to, naturally, you're going to stop wanting to like having this garbage naturally. You're going to naturally just want to, get rid of that bullshit, and you're going to want to consume the better inputs. It's such a simple thing that, again, a lot of people just aren't aware of. So my practical advice, do whatever you can to surround yourself with the type of inputs that are quality, and do the best that you can to get rid of all of this garbage that, whether it's, being fed to your body or whether being fed to your mind. Do your best, because no matter how strong you think that you are, like I've seen this in my own life, like no matter how strong of character I thought I would have, like if I'm around the wrong type of crowd long enough, I start to, behave in a similar way that they do. I start to say and think a similar way that they do. You can try to use your willpower, but again, it's very hard. It's way better if you can just set your environment up so that passively you are getting quality inputs that, again, are getting you closer to where you want to be. Hope this helps. If it did, and since you've watched this far into the video, I think you'd be a good fit to join our Brotherhood. It's the first link in the description. I think you'd get a lot of value from it. But anyways, peace out. Have a good one.